Welcome to today's episode on training martial arts at home. Whether you're taking an online martial arts course, whether you train at a normal brick and mortar traditional martial arts school, or whether you're training at a gym or through a Parks and Recreation program, however you're training martial arts, if you're training in martial arts, you need to make sure that you understand that 90% of your learning is going to happen at home while you're practicing. And so learning to train martial arts at home is very important. And so today, in today's episode, I'm going to share with you the 3 punching bags that I use for my personal training at my home dojo. And so these 3 bags provide different purposes for why I'm training with those particular bags. You'll see behind me that I have 3 different freestanding bags laid out. I do not do a hanging bag simply because I don't have anybody to hold the bag and the bag moves a lot when I'm training at home. Now, these freestanding bags will also move around quite a bit. And so sometimes you have to work in a circle around the bag to keep the bag centered in your training area. But if you take a look at the bags that I have here, each one I have purchased for a different reason. Now, I'm going to give you my favorite bag at the end and why I've chosen that bag as my favorite bag to use. But these punching bags will help you kind of determine what you're going to use your bag for. So this one I really enjoy because what I like about it is it's adjustable in size. It's a little bit less expensive than the other 2 bags that I have here, but it's also adjustable, and so I can use it. I can use it for kicking if I want to use it for kicking, but it has a little bit of a high base. So if I want to practice those lower kicks, it's not going to be quite as good as for that. Also, by the way, before we continue, I get no credit from Century Martial Arts. It just happens to be who I buy a lot of my equipment from. So you can buy all of these at centurymartialarts.com. I don't get any affiliate links for that. I don't get any promotion for that. But if you want to find these bags, you can find them there. This is the Wave Master, and I do like this bag. I like it because you can adjust the height of this bag pretty much wherever you want it to go. It'll go all the way up, I think, to 6'7" is the height. So you simply just twist it, twist the bag part, pull it up, and then twist it, and it locks back into place. So you can have an adjustable height. So if you're doing punches, you can have those punches here. Now, one thing I'll say about this particular bag, it has a little bit more of a surface to it. It has a little bit of a ridge to it. And so when you're punching it, it can have a little bit of adverse effects on the skin of your hand if your hand's not conditioned already to be punching. So that's what I would warn you about this particular one. The other thing is once you raise it up this high, you can no longer do, obviously, any kicks down here. And one of the things about the particular style that I teach, Okinawa martial arts, the Uechi-Ryu style, is we kick above the belt, or we kick below the belt, rather, I should say. We kick below the belt and we punch above the belt. So punching above the belt, no problem with this particular setup, but kicking below the belt is obviously going to be a challenge if I don't have that full width there or full length of the target going all the way down. But I do like this bag. It does move around a little bit more than some of the bags. It doesn't have quite the wide base. If you look at these 2 punching bags here, they both have a wider base, so they move around less when you're punching and kicking it. But this is a great starter bag. Works very well. I don't suggest, there's similar ones that you can buy at like a sporting goods store, and they're thinner. This part of the bag is probably about half the diameter of this one. I just don't suggest that one. The foam doesn't hold up as well. The striking doesn't hold up as well. It's harder in some ways to do the techniques on a more narrow bag, and so I like the wider bag for this particular one. And again, this is all water filled at the base here. You basically just pull this all the way off. There's a cap at the top. There's a tube that runs all the way up to the top here. You take that cap off and you fill it with water. Very simple. Easy to move around. Basically, you just lean it over and roll it in your dojo. But if you want to move it out of the dojo area or your training area, you can just empty the water out and then you can transport it wherever you need to go. Very light once it's empty. My next bag that I have here is is a little bit different bag. This is a Wave Master, also from Century. What I like about this bag is it's full size. This one does not have an adjustable movement to go all the way up, but you can see you have about a 6-foot range here. So if you want to do high kicks, which I don't do because that's not the style that I train and teach in. But if you want to do high kicks, you have that ability here, but you can also do low kicks. And so I like this because it really gives you about twice the surface vertically that this bag does. So this bag is a little bit more expensive. I like it that it has a wider base, it moves around less, but I can do a lot of lower kicks with this particular bag. So I can do kicks here, I can still punch in my range that I'm normally punching in, and it just gives me more vertical space to work up and down the bag. So that's one of the reasons that I really like this particular one. Again, this one moves around a little bit less because it has a wider base on it. It probably weighs about the same, I think, as this bag here, but because of the shape of the base, you don't get that movement. But I do like this one, so you can do high kicks, middle kicks, low kicks. You can do techniques here while doing techniques down there. So working your combinations, when you're doing your different combinations at home, you've got this bag. Very good bag, solid bag that I really do like. And it's a little, it can be a little bit tipsy when you start striking up this high, but it stays pretty solid. The third punching bag that I use, and you may not really think about Bob here as being a punch bag. Again, this is from Century Martial Arts. This particular unit comes without the arms. And so this has a harness on it that you can also purchase separately, which does make this bag a little bit more. You may not think Bob is a bag, but he is a bag. And so this particular unit comes just without arms. And so you just have the torso and the head striking area. I like the arms on it because it gives me a little bit more realism when I'm striking this bag. And that's what I like about this bag. It will move around a little bit, but I do, one of the things that I like about it is these arms are a little bit far out. One of the tricks that I use is I'll take an old belt and I will tie these arms together and bring them in front of Bob a little bit more here so that I get more of a realistic striking zone. And so if I were just to tie this off here, I get a realistic striking zone with Bob with his hands in front, which is what I really like about this particular unit. It gives me that ability that if I want to come in here and I want to practice my down block and striking over, I have that ability to do that with Bob. One of the other things that I really like about Bob is that realism, first of all, but the realism in your strikes. When you're punching a punching bag, it's a lot different, this bag, when I'm hitting this bag here, or when I'm hitting Bob on the side of the face here. Totally different structure. You don't have this nice round target on this one, but you have a structured face. Bob will also adjust up and down, just like the first bag that I showed you, but I like it about here because I like picking on people that are a little bit smaller than me. Just kidding. But really, this bag is great for training at home because it's real. It gives me that real movement. If I'm striking, I can practice right where I want my strikes to go. Wherever I'm striking, I've got that angle. So here I can come down on the angle with the shuto, which is where we strike with Uechi-ryu. Here's going to be a harder strike. Trying to come down, you can still strike more sideways, but we like that strike to go at a 45-degree angle down through the target this way. And you're only going to get that when you're striking something like Bob. And so Bob gives you that realism, gives you facial features to strike for if you're doing palm strikes to the nose, or if you're doing strikes to the eyes, if you're doing strikes to the side of the head, if you're trying to punch the jaw, do a shuto to the shoulder. Those are all great pieces. And so I guess if I was going to pick one bag, I wouldn't pick Bob because the reason is because it does limit in some ways your striking because you don't have as much striking zones. I mean, you can kick all this down here, punch all this, work on solar plex strikes and all of that, which is wonderful. And that's what I like about this. This bag is also, with the arm attachments, is going to run you a little bit, quite a bit more than this bag, which is my favorite. And the reason that this one is my favorite is because it has a smooth surface, so it's more like a hanging bag. You get that more of that leather feel to it. So when you're punching it, you don't get that grit like you do on this bag with the surface. This has a textured surface. This one is flat. It's smooth. You get full range of kicking and punching, and it's a good solid target. So if I was going to pick one bag for my dojo at home, this would be it, and those are the reasons why. If I was going to have a dual, if I could have two bags, like I do here, I have three actually. If I could afford to do two bags and I had the space to store them, I would definitely get a Bob, because Bob is going to help you really develop those strikes at home that are going to be applicable to self-defense and to a lot of the techniques that you're going to learn, like I said, either in an online martial arts course like we teach, or in a brick and mortar dojo, whether that's through a traditional school or wherever you train. That's going to give you, this is going to give you that realistic movement. But I really do like just I would definitely add the arm pieces to Bob if I was going to have this bag at home. It gives you that extra ability to have that technique where you're really working on, clearing those arms as you strike through, those kinds of things. So those are my three favorite bags. Again, if I was going to go with one, I would go with the Century like this. If I could have two, I would go with this one. And then those would be my two that I would choose to have as my home martial arts training options. And so hopefully that helps you kind of go through, like, maybe thinking about some of the ways that you could use your bag and how your training is at home, and based on the space that you have available for your training at home, being able to decide which ones of these is best. The other thing that makes it nice about these particular bags that you can move them is if you have a dual purpose space. In other words, if you're training in a room that you need to use for something else, like a rec room or a living room, you can roll this bag out, practice on it, and then roll it off into the corner. With a hanging bag, that's just not possible. I mean, you can take it down, but it's a lot harder to re-hang a bag every time. And I'm not sure you'd want that hanging harness in the middle of your rec room or in the middle of your living room. So these freestanding bags are excellent for training martial arts at home. Again, I hope that helps you when you're going through setting up your home dojo or setting up your home training area on what bag to choose, because I will tell you, they're not cheap. And so you don't want to be buying two or three to try to figure out which one is going to work best for you. So I hope that helps you out. And so until next time, keep training, and we'll see you at the top.